So in the normal way, we'd move from step 16 and go right to step 17. However, based on the poll I did, the version that people would like to see is the long wheelbase option. So steps 17 to 28 is the short wheelbase. So we're going to skip over all of this until we get to step 29, and this 29 to 40 is for the long wheelbase, so the 280 millimeter. So I'm going to start here. So we're going from step 16 to 29 for building the long wheelbase option. So you can see we need B12, a couple of B10s, and then all of the parts, because we are into the B parts bag. So there are the parts we need right there. And then we have bag B. So I'll set this up and we'll start putting this together. So if we start at this side, you can see that this piece here looks different if you turn it over, because there's a ridge, basically. These are inset. Whereas if you turn it over, it's pretty much flat with the top. And based on what you see here, it's pretty much showing the flat side. So this is the direction it needs to be. You can also see that these MB3 screws, they're saying they want you to screw them all the way in. So that's got to be screwed all the way through. So let's do that. So we'll take this screwdriver. I'm just going to get it started, make sure that it's going in straight. It's not there, so I need to back it off just a bit here. There we go, that's going in straight. So we're going to screw this all the way through. It's probably easier to hold it this way. And it says fully screw in, which means that the screw itself is going to be sticking out of the other side. Now I'm not going to over tighten it, because this, you don't want to strip this out. These aren't the tapping screws. So if you over tighten, it will strip. So ultimately, with the screw all the way down, you should see that on the other side. Now I'm just going to do a little bit more, but it's at the end, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So here we've got to do the same thing. Make sure that's going in. Actually, that one worked out well right from the start. So we'll screw this all the way in. Almost. There we go. So ultimately, that's what it's going to look like. We've got the two screws poking out on either side. And then you can see that we have this MA14 ball connector, which has to attach here. Now with this one, I'm going to use the box wrench, and then I can sort of use it to help level it out. Just do a check. It's a little off, so move that around just a touch. Make sure that's going through. Come on. Yes. Yeah, that's now level all the way around. So we can screw this all the way down. And again, don't over tighten. Once you get to the end, stop. Because if you over tighten that, it will definitely strip. Now I can see there's a little bit more room, so I can definitely turn it a bit more. But ultimately, there we go. It's in place. I'm just going to do one last little turn just to, for my own, yeah, we're in. So ultimately that is what that piece is going to end up looking like when it's finished. So if we move on to the next bit, we have these two ball connector nuts. Now these ball connector nuts look like this. They're not the brass ones, they're the black ones. They're slightly smaller. So just make sure that you have the right ones, and we're gonna screw those on. And I might use this to maybe tighten it a little bit. Yep. And the same thing again with the other side. And you can use the box wrench to tighten it. You'll get a good feel for it. You'll know when it's tight. That feels right. But again, don't over crank this because you will end up stripping something out. But that feels right. So ultimately, that's looking like that at this stage. And the last thing we need to do is put in these MB4s, the ball bearings, and then these steering linkage pieces. Now what's very cool is the kit comes with the ball bearings for the steering linkage. So these MB9s are in the bag B, pop them in, we've got ball bearings. And now with these MB4s, they're gonna go in at the top and go right into the arms. Now you'll notice that they look like this. You don't want them up like that. It needs to be facing down with the bigger plastic facing down. So those are now going to be screwed into there. So we'll just make sure that that actually is going in. See which way it's easier to screw this in. Well, first off, I'm going to need to switch out the screwdriver because it's going to need the smaller one for this. There we go. So we can screw that one in. And what's interesting is it must just stop on the ridge. That doesn't really show the stoppage point, but I guess it will once you get down to the end here. Oh yeah. So it's naturally going to have a stopping point. And again, you don't want to strip that out. Just go as far as you can, and then it's nice and smooth. So again, we're going to do the same thing, pointing down. We've got that screw going into there and into there. And we'll screw that in. And again, don't over tighten, but ultimately that's what it's going to look like. And again, it's very cool that they include the ball bearings for that. It's not just a plastic bushing. So I took a closer look at this without the camera being in the way. And I started tightening these down a little more just to see how far you could go or what you needed to do. And in actual fact, it feels like there's resistance, but you need to keep screwing them in. And you can see that the screws themselves almost go to the end of the piece when you're finished, because the screw here tightens up inside the ball bearing so that the ball bearing is quite a bit inset, and then it's done. So when you grab this screwdriver, for example, and turn, you actually are going to get to the point where there is complete resistance. So you're not going to strip anything out, but at a certain point it will feel very, very tight. So that is how it needs to look. So you need to tighten those fully. But it feels very, very smooth because of those ball bearings. So very, very cool. So that means that step 29 is complete. We're going to move on to step 30 and work on the steering rods.